Leadership doesn't just show up in boardrooms, it also shows up in real life. Today, we're talking about something many leaders struggle with more than they would really like to admit, and that's patience. Specifically, the pressure to force outcomes instead of allowing alignment to happen. In this conversation today, we're talking about strategic patience and why slowing down at the right moments can actually move things faster. So let's go ahead and get into it. The first thing I want to talk about is the pressure to rush. As leaders, we often feel the consistent pressure to move fast, fast decisions, fast solutions, fast results. But speed isn't the same as progress. I was reminded of this during my recent move where we moved out of state. Every single day, there was something pushing us to rush timelines, paperwork, money transfers, movers, inspections, appraisals, you name it. The stress of that move wanted us to force things to happen faster. But here's the leadership truth rushing rarely leads to alignment, it usually leads to anxiety, mistakes, and missed opportunities. Leaders are often rewarded for speed, where we're expected to decide quickly, respond immediately, and deliver results now. But rushing doesn't create clarity, it creates anxiety, misalignment, preventable mistakes. Moving fast can feel productive, but it's not always effective. What are your thoughts on feeling the pressure to rush?
I think you hit it, man. I think there is something to be said about choosing clarity over speed. And using your example about moving, I think there's a lot of things that you're just trying to rush to get done. Very similarly, there was a role that I had one time where we were going through budgets and budget cuts and trying to decide where we could make some savings throughout the company. And we were just kind of slashing. And I remember a peer of mine said, "Hey, let's slow this thing down a little bit and think about some clarifying questions as to why we're looking to cut and make these cuts and what those impacts may have in the long term." And so that allowed us just to kind of slow things down a little bit, think a little clearer, and think downstream what those ramifications might be. And so we instituted that, and that made a huge difference, not only for us to save money for the company, but it also allowed us to have more empathy in some of the impacts that we would have, and then also look at some of those projects that we were eliminating and what some of those implications would have as well. So you're right. I think choosing clarity over speed is something that is really beneficial, not only in the short term, but also in the long term as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the second thing that I wanted to kind of dig into was what strategic patient actually really means. Strategic patient isn't passive. It's not sitting back and hoping for the best. It's an active decision to stay steady while moving with intention. During our move, for us, that meant focusing on what we could actually control. We created detailed checklists. We stayed in close communication with agents, handling paperwork early, making a backup plan, and also setting the right expectations. At the same time, it meant letting go of what we could not control. We couldn't control the timing. We couldn't control the market conditions, approvals. That's where strategic patient lives, prepared but not panicked, moving forward but not forced. Corey, what does strategic patience look like for you?
Yes, sir. I think you nailed it. I think about letting go of control and allowing better results to happen. So I'll give you another example. So I remember there was an opportunity when a manager wanted us to come together and work through a proposal that we were trying to secure some business on. And this was a new client. And the manager really had some handcuffs on things that we could not do. And so we kept hitting roadblock after roadblock. And I said to the manager, "Listen, I know what you want us to do, and I know there's some guardrails that you want us to adhere to. However, I think if we can just let go of some of these things, I think we would have better creativity. We'd have some more innovative ideas, some real out of the box thinking." And so after some time, the manager say, "Hey, Khary, I'm gonna acquiesce. I'm gonna let go a little bit, come up with some ideas, and we'll see what we can do." And so that allowed the team just to really do some great brainstorming, allow them to really come up with some really cool and innovative ideas that we normally probably wouldn't have come up with. And so when we pitched them to the manager before we secured the business with the client, the manager was like, "Hey, you know what? I really like this." And we ended up winning the business. But in order to do that, the manager had to let go of some of the control. So sometimes you got to let go. And when you do that, not only are you letting some of the micro managementisms and some of that, you're unleashing creativity, you're unleashing innovation, you're unleashing some of the freedom that a team has, and that really can help reward success. And in our case, we won the business, and it was one of our biggest clients, and so it really worked out to everybody's advantage, and it was a win-win for everyone.
I mean, that just shows you how letting go can lead to your advantage. So, the next thing that I want to talk about is what actually happens when everything finally aligns. Here's the part that still amazes me. Despite all the stress of moving and everything we went through, everything actually ended up falling into place. We
Yes.
actually closed on our house the same day that we closed on the house that we were buying, which
Mhm.
was just a bit crazy. So
Mhm.
in the end, it kind of reinforced that lesson that every leader kind of needs to remember. When the groundwork is solid, timing takes care of
Mm.
itself. Strategic patience creates space for alignment, allows things to come together without burning yourself out trying to control the uncontrollable.
Mhm.
Alignment doesn't happen when you force it, it happens when the groundwork is done, the process is respected, and the timing is right. When alignment shows up, progress feels smoother and certainly more sustainable. Kari, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm gonna use the F word, and that's faith. That's faith. That's faith. Um,
Faith, yes.
uh, and
Just to
and
be
and trust
clear.
that's right. And trusting in the process and understanding that, hey, even when the outcome is not very clear, trusting in God and what He has in store for us. Just to do a real quick biblical reference, I know many of the viewers out there is familiar with the story of David and how he was anointed and to be the future king of Israel. Saul, whom he worked for, was a real keen advisor. Became very jealous of David. Much so, Saul sent armies after David to try to kill him. And then there was an opportunity for David to kill Saul twice, but he didn't. He acquiesced and he chose patience. He chose integrity. And so he allowed trust in God's timing rather than feeling like, hey, this is in my control. I can force the issue. And so that restraint really became a defining moment in his leadership. And so, in other words, trusting in the process, having faith in what God would have us to do, even though we don't know what the outcome is. And so, I think that is really allowing that leadership to say, hey, listen, I don't know how this is all going to work out, but I trust and believe that it will. Even though I don't know all the specifics, I know that God's got our back. So, using the F word, faith, in the process, I think is for me, it is something that I have to do because I
Yeah,
don't
I
have
mean, and that's
yeah,
what got us through. Like I had to keep reminding myself to have faith in God and everything around me, knowing that even though I was stressed out with the financial situation, the move, the whole process of moving. I mean, moving can be one of the most stressful things that you do in life. But I had
absolutely.
to keep reminding myself and my partner, like, we have to have faith that this is going to work out. I know we're stressed about it, but we have to believe in that and have faith that it's all going to just align. And so, and in doing that, it actually did. And then we sat back and we looked at it and we're like, oh, wow, this actually worked out like
That's
we
right.
wanted it to. Actually, it worked
That's
out
right.
even better. And so
Even
now we're
better.
settled and we can feel like how that stress kind of just melted away. And actually, now we're in a place where we're enjoying our new space. And so, having the using the F word worked out.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, here are a few practical takeaways that leaders can actually apply immediately. The first one is don't confuse urgency with effectiveness. Not every decision needs to be made right now. The second one would be control the controllables. Be prepared, be organized, and communicate. Then release the rest. And the third one is trust the process, not the plan.
Mhm.
Plans change. This is what I had to learn. Plans change, but the
That's right.
process will keep you grounded.
Yes,
And
sir.
lastly, give alignment time. Space allows you to see the full picture before committing. Kari, any additional takeaways that you want to add?
Just one, and it's really ties into what you have just talked about in terms of the calls to action, and it's really just one quick, simple question. It is, what would it look like to trust God's timing instead of forcing our own? And just relying on what He's going to do, what He has in store for us. All of those other things will work out in the end, but we just gotta just rely on His timing, what He has in store for us, and it'll work out.
Absolutely. So, if you're leading through a major transition right now, whether it be in work or in life, remember this: strategic patience isn't slow, it's smart. It's the discipline of not rushing something that's meant to unfold step by step. This move reminded me that when you stay prepared, grounded, and patient, things often work out exactly as they're supposed to. Real leadership isn't about pushing harder. It's about knowing when to act and when to let things unfold. Strategic patience doesn't slow you down, it sets you up. So, if this resonated with you, drop us a comment and share where patience has actually paid off for you. And if you're feeling the pressure right now, remember, you don't have to force what's meant to be.
I just want to remind everyone to lead with love, laugh with grace, and lift someone up today. Appreciate y'all.
Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you on the next one when we continue this conversation and discuss decision making under pressure. Ciao for now.